The world is littered with men who seem to move through life with the energy of boys, yet the weight of adulthood never touches them. They are men in body, but children in spirit, and they carry with them the chaos of unclaimed responsibility, the torment of unrealized potential, and the echoing emptiness of a soul left untended. They are everywhere at work, in relationships, behind closed doors, within their own minds, and yet they are invisible to themselves. You can see them in their dependency, their inability to hold space for discomfort, their compulsive search for external validation, as though the very world is meant to approve their existence. To understand the man-child, you must first confront the shadow of delayed maturation, the psychic inertia that keeps a boy tethered to the comfort of perpetual adolescence. It is not merely laziness. It is a refusal, a subtle rebellion against the inevitable march of time and responsibility. It is the flight from the self, the refusal to sit with your own discomfort, the desperate clinging to the illusions of safety and ease. Carl Jung called it the arrested development of the psyche, a soul frozen in a playroom of the mind, while the world demands warriors, thinkers, and creators. These men fear the weight of reality because reality mirrors the self with relentless honesty. They fear clarity because clarity reveals inadequacies, weakness, and unfulfilled potential. They fear commitment because commitment demands courage they have yet to cultivate. And they fear solitude because solitude forces a confrontation with the inner world they have long avoided, the labyrinth of fears, desires, and unexamined shadows that define who they are, yet terrify them to see. A man-child thrives in distraction. He becomes a prisoner to the stimuli of modern life, social media, entertainment, shallow pleasures, temporary connections, anything that allows him to avoid the conversation with his own soul. He navigates the world externally, not internally, measuring success through applause and attention rather than self-mastery and meaning. He confuses busyness for purpose, volume for voice, and popularity for power. He cannot see that the battlefield of life is within first, and only then without. But the tragedy of the man-child is not just for him, it radiates outward. Relationships crumble, opportunities vanish, dreams dissolve like smoke in an indifferent wind. Women who see potential are frustrated by inertia. Friends are drained by inconsistency. Society bears the cost of deferred responsibility. And yet the man-child himself often does not even recognize his prison because the bars are invisible until courage illuminates them. And courage, as Jung teaches, is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to walk into the darkness of your own psyche, to face the unclaimed parts of yourself, to wrestle with the unresolved traumas, to own the latent power within. To grow up is to accept pain as the companion of life, discipline as the architecture of freedom, and vision as the map toward the self you have long ignored. The path from man-child to man is neither swift nor gentle. It is a crucible of transformation. It begins in small choices, waking before the world demands it, taking responsibility for the messes you have made, speaking the truth when deception is easier, honoring commitments that feel inconvenient. Each step is a muscle of the soul, strengthened through action, discipline, and repeated confrontation with discomfort. The man who grows is a man who learns to sit in silence, to study his own patterns, to listen to the whispers of his instincts, and to distinguish between fear and intuition. He learns that adulthood is not measured by age, status, or possessions, but by the gravity with which he inhabits his own life. That gravity is not oppression. It is presence. It is the weight of being fully responsible for yourself, your choices, and your legacy. And as the man-child confronts this transformation, he realizes something profound. Freedom is born from responsibility. Creativity is born from constraint. Power is born from mastery of self. Love is born from the capacity to hold space for another without losing yourself. Nothing in life is given without the courage to claim it. To the men who wander in the haze of adolescence, take note. Your world, does not owe you meaning. Life is indifferent. The universe does not wait for your maturity, and time is a relentless teacher whose lessons are harsh. Yet in this confrontation lies the doorway to greatness. Step through it, and you become not the man-child trapped in reflection and avoidance, but the architect of your destiny, the master of your impulses, and the sovereign of your own being. The journey is lonely, because growth isolates you from those unwilling to confront their own shadows. It is brutal, because every weakness is illuminated in the harsh light of truth. And it is glorious, because through it you emerge not as a boy clinging to comfort, but as a man who commands his own life, whose presence is magnetic, whose choices are deliberate, and whose soul is unbreakable. To grow up is to claim your power. To grow up is to feel the fire of your own spirit and walk through it without flinching. To grow up is to step into the arena of existence fully armed with awareness, discipline, and courage. And when you do, you will never again be a man-child wandering in shadows, lost to distraction, avoidance, or fear. You will stand fully alive, unshakable, and indomitable, a force shaped not by convenience, but by the relentless forging of your own soul. You are ready. The world is indifferent. Growth is your choice. Step forward, claim yourself, and become the man who cannot be ignored, not by life, not by love, and certainly not by yourself. And in claiming yourself, you must confront the illusions you've been living under, because the man-child survives in illusions. He survives in the stories he tells himself. I am too young to start. I am not ready yet. Someone else will fix this. I don't need to face this pain. These are the whispers of cowardice dressed in the comfort of self-deception. Every excuse, every delay, every shrug toward responsibility is a thread tying you to mediocrity, to the prison of your own unformed potential. Look at history, at men who have shaped the course of nations, whose names echo in eternity. None of them waited for comfort. None of them asked permission to become themselves. Alexander burned the world with ambition and clarity. Machiavelli dissected power with precision and cold eyes. Nietzsche felt the weight of existence and forged himself into the Übermensch not through avoidance, but through relentless confrontation with the self. And yet, none of these men were free from fear. Their freedom was born not from absence of struggle, but from mastery over it. The man-child flees this confrontation. He hides behind convenience, behind distraction, behind temporary indulgences that promise solace but deliver nothing. He does not see that the world does not pity him. It does not grant him reprieve. Every day that he fails to claim his responsibility, every day that he allows the comfort of immaturity to rule him, is a day surrendered to entropy, a day stolen from his future self, a day lost in the illusions of potential unclaimed. To grow, the man must wrestle with his shadows, the hidden fears, the insecurities, the unresolved trauma, the envy, the laziness, the anger, the desires he refuses to name. Carl Jung called this the shadow, and it is the part of the self that must be met, not denied. The man-child avoids this inner confrontation. He cannot see that the shadow is not an enemy, but a guide, a mirror of what is unclaimed and unmastered. By ignoring it, he remains a boy. By confronting it, he begins the journey of a man. This confrontation is brutal. It will strip you bare. It will show you every compromise you have made, every fear you have nurtured, every potential you have buried beneath convenience. It will demand honesty that feels unbearable. It will challenge you in ways that comfort has never prepared you for. But within this brutal honesty lies liberation. For the man who dares to look into the darkness of his own psyche, the darkness will not devour him. It will surrender its power, and he will rise stronger, sharper, more alive than he ever imagined. Discipline is the weapon you wield in this fight. Not flashy, not glamorous, not easy. Discipline is the quiet, relentless hammer striking daily shaping the raw material of your will into unbreakable structure. It is waking when the body cries to sleep. It is speaking truth when lies are easier. It is finishing what you start even when the world resists. Discipline is the bridge from the man-child to the man, and it is forged not in comfort, but in repeated confrontation with resistance. Action is the language of the transformed man. Thought alone will never mature you. Planning alone will never make you brave. Feeling alone will never make you powerful. Action translates courage into reality. It is the crucible where potential becomes reality, where fear is transformed into mastery. To act is to declare to the world and to yourself that you are no longer a boy waiting for life to happen, but a man shaping the world by the strength of your will. And in this, the man learns the art of patience. Growth is not linear. Transformation is not immediate. The man-child wants everything now, but the man knows that greatness is cultivated in silence, in repetition, in the hidden moments when nobody watches, and only the soul bears witness. Patience is not resignation. It is deliberate, unrelenting persistence in the face of trials that would break the unready. Gratitude, strangely, becomes a pillar of strength, not for the easy, fleeting pleasures, but for the lessons etched in pain, for the friction that shapes resolve, for the adversity that uncovers courage. The man-child despises this friction, but the man embraces it. Every wound becomes a teacher, every failure a tutor, every disappointment a compass pointing toward the self he has yet to claim. Adaptability is born from awareness. The man-child is rigid, terrified of change, because change is the exposure of inadequacy. The man flows like water alert, conscious, strategic. He bends without breaking. He learns without losing pride. He evolves without surrendering his core. Life will test him in ways he cannot predict, and the man who has confronted himself will meet it with a calm certainty that he is more than circumstance. And through all of this, resilience becomes not a skill, but a condition of existence. The man-child crumbles at opposition, falters at discomfort, retreats from challenge. The man stands, he falls, rises, adapts, persists, because he has claimed his inner authority. His suffering is no longer a cage, it is a forge. His trials are no longer burdens. They are the anvil upon which his character is hammered into permanence. This journey does not end. True growth is endless, because the self is a vast terrain, layered and infinite. But each step forward is a victory. Each act of courage, each claim of responsibility, each embrace of discomfort is proof that the man-child has receded, and the man who stands in his place is unassailable. He is not defined by circumstance, not dictated by fear, not shackled by inertia. He is alive with purpose, unbreakable in will, radiant in self-possession, and undeniable in presence. And when this man walks into a room, he is felt before he speaks. His silence carries weight. His gaze commands respect. His choices reflect clarity. His energy is magnetic, not because it seeks attention, but because it embodies truth. He has become sovereign of his own being, and in that sovereignty, he cannot be hurt by the trivialities that once enslaved him. He cannot be shaken by rejection, by failure, by distraction, by the illusions that caged him. The man-child is left behind like a shadow fading at sunrise, and what rises in his place is luminous. It is not arrogance, nor posturing, nor bravado. It is the unassailable power of a man who has faced the chaos within, claimed his responsibility, and stepped into the world as the fullest version of himself. This man moves with intention, lives with purpose, and loves with depth. He acts with clarity, creates with mastery, and responds to life with presence. So hear this. If you feel the weight of adolescence clinging to your soul, if you sense the man-child within you resisting growth, If you feel the comfort of avoidance whispering in your ear, know that it is time. The time is now. The world will not wait. Life will not pause. Every moment spent in avoidance is a moment lost. Step into the fire of your own becoming. Face the darkness within. Claim your will. Sharpen your mind. Harden your discipline. Expand your vision. Strengthen your resilience. Embrace discomfort. Take action. Own your failures. Learn ruthlessly. Love profoundly. And emerge as the man you were always meant to be. Because the boy within you is gone. The excuses are gone. The illusions are gone. What remains is the unbroken, unshakable, undeniable force of your own awakened soul. And in that awakening, nothing, no obstacle, no person, no circumstance will ever hurt you again. You are free, you are whole, you are alive, you are man. And yet, freedom is not a destination, it is the ongoing mastery of the self against the tides that would drag it under. Even as the man rises, even as the shadows retreat, life will test him in ways subtle and cruel. The world is not obliged to be fair, and fate has a taste for irony. But the man who has walked through the fire of his own transformation has learned a truth that no storm can undo, that pain is never final, that suffering is never permanent, that limitation is always temporary, if only he keeps the clarity of his mind and the discipline of his will. The modern world is littered with distractions engineered to seduce the unprepared. Screens glow with illusions of intimacy, while genuine connection rots in the background. Voices scream for attention, while inner wisdom whispers and is ignored. Pleasure is packaged as a shortcut to fulfillment, and comfort masquerades as security. The man-child drowns in these currents, never questioning, never resisting, never realizing that he has been tamed by convenience and entertainment, trained to seek validation and avoid confrontation. But the man, the real man, sees the machinery of modern life and steps off the conveyor belt. He learns to inhabit silence without fear. He learns to resist the pull of instant gratification and instead invest in depth. He understands that every moment squandered in shallow pursuits is a day stolen from the pursuit of mastery. The world may reward the distracted, but it does not enrich them. Wealth, power, or recognition without self-possession is hollow. True victory is internal, and it radiates outward, attracting allies, opportunities, and experiences that align with the clarity of purpose. Vision becomes his compass. Without vision, the man drifts, enslaved to circumstance and the whims of others. With vision, he navigates storms with precision. He sees beyond the moment, perceives patterns others miss, understands consequences before they unfold. This vision is not vanity. It is an unshakable knowledge of what he must become, a blueprint of the self he is sculpting through action, discipline, and courage. It is the antidote to the aimlessness that traps the boy within. Purpose fuels the engine of his life. A man without purpose is a candle flickering in the wind, consumed by trivialities and fading before he leaves a mark. Purpose gives every action weight, every choice meaning. It transforms labor into creation, effort into mastery, suffering into opportunity. Purpose is not found in comfort. It is forged in the furnace of struggle, in the surrender of excuses, in the unflinching embrace of responsibility. The man who knows his purpose does not hesitate. He moves through the world with clarity, and the world bends subtly to the force of intention. And discipline, again, is the unseen pillar of his ascent. Not discipline as punishment, but discipline as fidelity to himself, rising before the world stirs, speaking truth when deception surrounds, maintaining focus when distraction beckons, acting when inertia tempts. The man does not require external validation. He validates himself through consistency, through effort, through the repeated commitment to what he knows must be done. This is the secret weapon of men who endure, who thrive, who leave echoes in history. Every challenge becomes an invitation. Every failure becomes instruction. Every obstacle becomes a measure of growth. Whereas the man-child flees difficulty, the man seeks it. He knows that comfort is a mirage, that security is temporary, that safety is the illusion of avoidance. Life is a battlefield, and the man who thrives does not hope for peace. He prepares for the storm and learns to dance in it. And love finally becomes the most potent expression of his maturity. Love without attachment, without dependence, without expectation. Love that is chosen, not needed. Love that is given freely because he has discovered the infinite well within himself. The man-child mistakes love for validation, for attention, for possession. The man knows that love is a reflection of completeness, not a cure for emptiness. In this love, he is untouchable, not through walls, but through wholeness. So rise with the knowledge that every step into discomfort is a step away from the boy who hides. Rise with the clarity that every choice made in courage is a declaration of sovereignty. Rise with the understanding that life is a mirror, and the man who confronts himself sees truth, reflected unflinchingly in every circumstance. Rise not for approval, not for recognition, not for reward, but for the unshakable power of self-possession. For when you walk this path, when you face the shadows, when you claim your vision, your purpose, your discipline, your resilience, your action, your love, you discover a force that the world cannot touch. You discover that no person can undermine your peace, no event can shatter your core, no failure can define your worth. You discover that pain, loss, betrayal, and struggle are not prisons, they are fuel. And you become unbreakable. And in that unbreakable state, you see the final truth, that life in all its chaos and complexity is not something to endure. It is something to conquer from within. That the man-child is nothing but a shadow left behind. That the man who rises is eternal, sovereign, and whole. That nothing, nobody, and no circumstance can ever hurt you again. Because you are no longer waiting. You are no longer hiding. You are no longer incomplete. You are awake. You are whole. You are alive. You are free. And in your freedom, the world bends not through force, but through the quiet, undeniable power of a man who has claimed himself. You are here. You are real. You are present. You are strength. You are clarity. You are vision. You are purpose. You are action. You are resilience. You are love. You are power. You are sovereignty. And nothing, nobody, and no circumstance will ever hurt you again. And now, as the echo of every struggle, every doubt, every shadow you once carried fades into the distance, you stand unshakable. Not because the world has changed, not because life has softened, but because you have changed. You have stepped beyond fear, beyond dependence, beyond the illusions that once held you captive. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, no longer a prisoner of the past, no longer the man-child who hid behind distraction and excuses. You are a man who has faced himself fully, embraced his darkness, and claimed his light. You are a force that cannot be diminished, a soul that cannot be stolen, a mind that cannot be bent. The storms of life may roar, but they no longer dictate your path. The voices that once whispered doubt have been silenced by the unwavering certainty of your own presence. You move through the world with calm power, with measured intensity, with the quiet dominance of one who knows his worth and refuses to surrender it. Freedom is yours, sovereignty is yours, peace is yours, not as gifts from the outside, but as victories won within. And in this mastery of self, in this unshakable fortitude, you carry a truth older than time, whispered by every sage, every philosopher, every warrior who ever walked the path before you, that no one can hurt you unless you allow it, that pain is a teacher, not a jailer, that life is not a threat, but a canvas, and you are the artist, the sculptor, the maker of your own destiny. So rise, stand taller than your fears, speak louder than your doubts, act with the conviction that every moment is your own, and let the world witness the man who has learned the ultimate secret, that when you claim yourself fully, when you no longer seek permission, when you no longer depend on the approval of others. Nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. You are complete. You are sovereign. You are free. And the world bows not to your submission, but to the radiance of your unbroken self.